We're going to show a video about our guests in just a few seconds, but we got two NASCAR legends in the house today. Rick Hendrick, he's a NASCAR Hall of Fame inductee and CEO of Hendrick Motorsports. He has over 4,000 races, over 1,000 top 10 finishes, and 252 top 5 finishes. He's got 16 total NASCAR National Series owner championships, the most in NASCAR history. And he started a foundation in 1997, the Hendrick Marrow Program, a nonprofit that works with Be the Match Foundation to support the National Marrow Donor Program. He was honored with the Horatio Alger Award, the Constitutional Hall in Washington, along with U.S. Presidents Eisenhower, Reagan, Wayne Gretzky, and astronaut Buzz Aldrin. He's also a good friend of Liberty's, and he helped us establish our automotive dealership management program. We have over 140 students in it now, Rick, and so it's really, he was so impressed with our students and the job they did when he hired them that he wanted to help us train future workers for his 104 dealerships, I think. But Jimmie Johnson's here. He's a seven-time Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series champion. He holds the co-record for the most Premier Series championships with Dale Earnhardt and Richard Petty. He's the only driver to win 5 consecutive titles. I think it's right when he started. And he told me this morning his 83 career wins is tied with Cale Yarborough for 6th place over all time. He was the first athlete to ever co-host ESPN Sports Center, and he's the all-time winningest Cup driver at Dover, Charlotte, Texas, Fontana, Las Vegas, and Kansas. And he was named the Associated Press Male Athlete of the Year. So we're honored to have both of you here, and we got a future NASCAR legend here too, Liberty student William Byron. He's in his 2nd season as the driver of the number 24 Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet. He earned the Sunoco Rookie of the Year in 2018 with 4 top 10 finishes. He scored 4 wins in the XFINITY Series, and he won the XFINITY Series Cup at age 19. His 7 wins in the Gander Truck Series set a record by a first-year driver. And like I said, he's a student at Liberty University. So now we got a short video, and we'll start the program. Thank you.
You look at what Hendrick Motorsports is and what Rick Hendrick has done for our sport and the dynasty really that he has built here, the number of championships that they have won.
Jimmie Johnson has had a wild night. He and his crew. Jimmie Johnson has won the Daytona 500.
Now opposing drivers are saying things like, unfortunately, we're driving during the Jimmie Johnson era. He's the best there ever was.
Johnson wins his 11th at Dover.
And out in victory lane for the celebration, Rick Hendrick there, and Jimmie Johnson conquers Delaware once again.
William Byron leading the field.
And he has shot up the ranks of NASCAR.
William Byron is going to win this race, back-to-back wins, coming out of turn number 4. Byron is going to win the first time he's ever been to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. William Byron wins at Indy.
Put our hands together, come on, for our distinguished guests. Such an honor to have y'all here. Right off the bat, we're gonna have a really great conversation, but Jimmie, you are one of the most celebrated celebrities in all of sports. I mean, you go beyond this particular sport, and your name is just synonymous with legends. You know, when you think about the Earnhardts of the world and the Pettys of the world, your name is always there in the top 3, top 4. Looking back at your celebrated career, what would be a highlight? What would you look back on and say, that's really one that kind of rises to the top in the memory bank?
Yeah, it's first of all, thank you for having us. What a place. My first time here. It's been a crazy ride, and I can say as a kid growing up, I just loved to compete and I loved to race. And I started on two wheels racing dirt bikes and into off-road buggies and trucks and through various asphalt vehicles. And then Mr. Hendrick was nice enough to put me in a Hendrick Motorsports car. My career took off. So, along the way, there's been a lot of different things that have happened, but I never thought I would be in the position I am today. So I'm very honored and thankful that I've been given this opportunity, and my passion, I think, really helped drive me to put in the time and the work to get it done, to fight through the tough times, and then to also, you got to take a moment every now and then and celebrate the accomplishment. So all that being said, a lot of emotional moments along my career, but winning my 7th championship was probably the most emotional of all the successful moments I've had.
So it wasn't the first one?
The first one was very special. I started my Cup career in 2002, and in 04 and 05, I was in the running for the championship at the final race of the year and failed. And those moments were really tough to deal with. Came back in 2006 and won my first. So the relief that came with that I wasn't a guy that got close but couldn't get it done was really important for me and gave me the confidence I needed to continue on and go to that next level. But from an emotional standpoint, the one in 2013 was the highest.
We've got some footage about that moment, the 7th. Let's watch this together.
Outside. Outside, 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 outside. It's your quarter. Clear, 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 clear. Come on, baby. Come on.
Jimmie Johnson wins his 7th NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship.
Yes! Yes! I don't even know what to say. Yes! Jimmie Johnson, man, I am so proud of you. So proud of you. You're a good man. You're a great champion. Now you're a 7-time champion, brother. And the winner of the race and the champion can celebrate anywhere he wants to now.
Insane. So,
Yeah.
What was going through your mind? What was the emotion like at that moment?
So just to add a few layers of detail to it all, in 2004, we had a plane crash. One of our aircraft at Hendrick Motorsports crashed on its way to the Martinsville Speedway. And unfortunately, we lost 10 people on that flight. Many very close to all of us. One of my close friends, which was Rick's son, Ricky Hendrick. And after I won my 6th championship, kind of the social media era was kicking off, and I had a hashtag 6-pack trying to win my 6th. And trying to find a way to kind of rally my fan base and just bring more meaning to that championship fight, I used this hashtag 7, and Rick's son Ricky loved the number 7 to a great level, and it just interacted with his life in so many ways, and he had a certain way that he spelled it, so I carried on the hashtag with that. We get into the race weekend, and it really motivated myself and our company as the playoffs kicked off. We get into the race day itself, I should say. My car gets pulled off of the starting grid before the race ever starts. NASCAR saw something they didn't like, so they took my car 10 minutes before the green flag, and I'm not even sure I'm gonna have a car to race in. So now I gotta go to the back of the field. I overcome that in the race. I get into contention, but really didn't have anything for the 3 other drivers I needed to beat. A series of caution flags happen. Next thing you know, I start on the front for a green-white checkered restart, get the start of a lifetime. On that video, that was the final restart, you saw me clear the 42 car. And when I cleared the 42 car, there was somebody in that car with me, and it was Rick's son, Ricky. And I still get goosebumps every time I mention it. And there was this experience going down the backstretch and coming around and taking the checkered flag and having him there with me. I mean, it was just out of this world. So from an emotional standpoint, that's a little more detail into just a short little piece of it, but more detail into that experience.
The reason I was maybe even baiting you with that question is as excited as you were, and we loved watching that when we were watching that footage of you going through the emotion of that win. We found this footage of a college student in his dorm who was watching that particular race, and talk about emotion. Let's watch this young man.
Look, Donald goes low. Oh! John, watching Jimmy clear! Jimmy clear! Ironwood's crashed! Jimmy's clear! Oh, yeah! We got a shot! We got a shot! We got a shot! Yes! Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt, Jimmie Johnson.
Man, that dude has asked Jimmie Johnson into his heart, buddy.
He does. I don't know who he is, but thank you, buddy.
Is he
why
here?
are people so into it?
Is he here today?
He's not one of our students.
Oh.
Yeah. We would never do that to one of our students. And I'm sure God loves him and has a wonderful plan for his life, and so that's great. Why are people so into, like, why is NASCAR so all caps emotionally for people? Coach Hugh Freeze is here. By the way, can we thank Coach Hugh Freeze for what he's brought and excitement to our football program? I've been asking Coach to come to Convos to hang with us. He's always like, I'm on a recruiting trip. I can't make it. I've got 5 families visiting today. As soon as I let them know you're here, he was like, I'm going to carve out space in my schedule. Why are NASCAR fans so bought in, like this young man and people like Coach?
It comes long before my existence in the sport, and it's just a culture. And I mean, you're growing your own culture here that is unlike anywhere else, and NASCAR has that as well. And our fans, as you can see, are definitely all in.
Well, I know it's a culture. My grandfather was, he was a distributor in Lynchburg for the moonshiners that made liquor down in Franklin County. And so that's, if you ever watched the show Moonshiners, that's where they learned how to drive fast, was to get away from the cops. And so I got some family roots in NASCAR. Anyway, but William Byron, I feel like I watched you grow up. Your mom and dad are here with you today, Bill and Dana. Would you guys wave at us? Somewhere over here. But William comes from a family of winners. Bill helped us back in the early 2000s put together life insurance on my father that paid off all the school's debt when he passed away. And it was an almost impossible task because he wasn't in that great of health when the life insurance was issued. And it was a godsend for the university, and it made it a lot easier for me to do what's happened since then. But William, you learned how to drive online. Tell about that.
Yeah, I learned how to race on iRacing, basically. So I was a kid at home just trying to figure out a way to race as a kid, and watching Jimmie was really my favorite driver growing up, and just trying to become closer to the sport. And that was the way that I was able to do that, was just learn how to drive on a simulator, which is kind of a new age of doing things.
Is that because your mom wouldn't let you get in a real go-kart?
No, they wouldn't let me get in a real car. They had to see if I was good at it first, for sure.
Well, you won the pole at Daytona, and you were leading for 44 laps, and you were about to win the race, and it looked like this guy, I forget what number it was, but he just took a right turn, went right up the track. I think somebody paid him off to take you out. You ought to investigate that. I'm serious, because it just looks so suspicious. Does that still happen in NASCAR, Rick?
I think so.
I'll never be convinced it wasn't intentional, but it's incredible. You led for 44 laps, and you're about to win the race, and we're so proud of you as a Liberty student, doing so much at such a young age. It's incredible.
Thank you.
Don't ever let anybody tell you guys you can't do anything at 20, 21, 19. It's the possibilities are endless, and William's proof of that. So,
can I just add one quick detail about the point you're making? This kid we grew up, our homes are very close to one another, and he literally was trick-or-treating at my house when he was younger, and looked me in the eyes and said, someday I'm going to race against you. And here we are 8-10 years later, and not only racing against me, but we're battling those 44 laps. We're up front of the Daytona 500 battling for the win.
Yeah, it was kind of an unreal feeling, growing up and being a fan of his, and then being teammates with him now at Hendrick Motorsports. And we texted each other back and forth after the Daytona 500. Obviously didn't really end how we wanted it to, but with about 40 laps to go in that race, we were side by side for the lead for over 30 or laps or so. So it was an awesome feeling to do that, and something pretty cool for me.
Yeah, I'll never forget the race in Homestead, Florida, where we flew down to Miami. Rick picked us up in a helicopter, took us down to Homestead to the racetrack, and that was where you sealed the XFINITY championship for that year, right?
Yeah.
It was so exciting with be there with. It was a big group from Liberty there, and that was a very proud moment for us. So congratulations on that. Has a 19-year-old ever done that before?
I think one other, our teammate Chase, but yeah, it was an awesome feeling and something that I cherish for sure.
Rick, you're working with our School of Business on the Automotive Dealership Management Program, and tell us what made you want to do that. Some of the early hires, the Apon, was it Brandon Apon?
Yep.
Tell us about that.
Yep. It's been amazing when I met the students here, and we started with having interns, and every intern we had we wanted to keep, and so now we've got 12 that are working in the company, and they're in marketing, or they're in advertising, they're in the dealerships or accounting, and we have 4 more that are going to graduate, and they're coming to work. So it's been amazing, the best group of young people that we have ever had work in our store, because they're so grounded and faith-based, and they want to work and they want to learn. And Brandon, I know everyone knows him and his story, but he's now one of the most profitable dealerships we own. He's got a bunch of Liberty kids working with him, and what a success story he is. But we've really enjoyed the relationship, and now we're working on the formula deal with the school, with the little cars we're building, and a group of us are going to Detroit to look behind the curtain and see what GM's up to in the future. So I'm really excited. This has been a terrific partnership, and we're just really so proud of these guys. But the relationship with the school has been unbelievable. So we need more Liberty students in our company.
Well, we had a commencement speaker a few years ago whose son graduated from Duke the next day. So he went from our graduation to Duke's graduation. And he said, it's amazing. He was amazed by the difference in the attitude. The attitude here was, what can we do to serve? How can we prove ourselves among the graduates? At Duke, the attitude was, we're entitled to what life's best because we're the most elite, and just expect employers to hand them whatever they want. And so I think that's the difference, and that's why Liberty students, that's why I believe you guys are going to continue to be more successful than graduates at other universities. Proud of you.
Absolutely. One of the reasons that we've been able to partner with you at such a strong level is because we share a lot of the same values. When you were inducted into the Hall of Fame, the NASCAR Hall of Fame, in your speech you talked about your 3 pillars of life. And I think a lot of our students who become your employees shared those same 3 pillars and convictions. I want to see this short clip of that moment. And I'd love for you to talk to us about those 3 pillars and why they matter to you.
To my wife, Linda, I don't know if you remember this, I'm sure you do. 44 years ago this month, we swapped rings. So this ring is as much for you as it is for me. Because there's nobody that sacrificed what you've sacrificed for me to do what I've done. She stood in the back of the grocery store with me, and we counted our money before we went to the checkout line. Our bed in our first house had 3 legs and a Muncie 4-speed gearbox for the 4th leg. When we were boat racing, she was selling T-shirts out of the back of the trailer so we could raise enough money to go back and do it again. So she sits in church on Sunday, so many Sundays by herself, when I've been gone for 44 years doing what I love. So tonight, this is as much yours, probably more, than it is mine. I love you, and thank you for all you've done.
Could you expound a little bit more about that? I just love those 3 pillars: faith, family, just are the foundation of everything else that you do.
Well, we go through life, you're going to have problems. Your faith in God. When we had the crash, and I lost my son, my brother, my 2 nieces. It's hard to get over losing a child, but we're convinced, and we know because of our faith, we'll see him again. So you need that. You need your family. I grew up on a farm. and we depended on each other, and our families stay close today. And your friends, if you've got good friends, they're there for you in the worst of times and the best of times, and that's when you need them the most. So faith, family, and friends will get you through almost anything. In life, sometimes you are at the top of the mountain and you're in the bottom of the valley. But if you have that foundation, it will get you through.
So at the top of the mountain, faith, family, and friends allows you not to get a big head and get accountability. And in the bottom, in the valley, faith, family, and friends, whether you win the race or you lose the race, whether you sell a lot of cars or you don't sell a lot of cars, that's your foundation. So your joy, your ultimate purpose isn't found in how often your team is winning or how much the bank account grows. It's more about things that matter beyond that.
Well, we believe in servant leadership. We turn the pyramid upside down. I think I'm there to serve others. I know you've had John Maxwell here speaking. We practice servant leadership every single day. And as a unit, we have a program called Hendrick Cares. We fed 60,000 people at Easter and on Thanksgiving. And this year our goal is to feed 100,000. And our employees pack those meals, turkeys, hams, and across the country we have 11,000 teammates, and everybody participates. And giving back, I saw the students going to help when disasters happen. We fly doctors to Cuba to do operations, to Honduras, the last hurricane in the Carolinas. We were the first there with food and water, 3 planes with 20,000 pounds of things to help people survive. And if you're a giving company and you believe in loving and taking care of each other, it makes it fun to go to work. And I can tell you from my many years of experience, the students that I've met here and that have come to work in our company have the most unbelievable foundation of servant leadership. And we have a reading every morning, every time I have conference calls with 104 dealerships. I did it Monday and Tuesday. We start with the reading, giving us the base to start our day.
Jimmie, go ahead. Jimmie, William is where you were in the first and second year of your career. What advice do you give somebody like him who's just getting started, and it would apply to all these students as well? I think they'd like to hear from somebody who's gone from here to the top.
Yeah, gladly. And I've known William for a lot of years and have been able to work with him, so it's hard to maybe summarize just one thing, but I've worked with William. There are other young teammates that we have at Hendrick Motorsports. I'm a father of 2. I have an 8-year-old and 5-year-old daughters. And you know, I guess the common thing I see through it all is just wanting my kids or my friends and people that I'm helping just to be passionate. You know, it's not going to be an easy ride. But if you're doing something you enjoy, something that could be a calling, something that you're really into, it gets you out of bed before you need to. It makes you stay up later than you need to, and you fully apply yourself. And through my own journey, I was never the one that had the most talent. I just outworked everybody. I stayed longer, I got up earlier, put in the reps. I didn't get my shot to drive for Mr. Hendrick until I was 25. And that's just how far behind I was in the way my opportunities came. So one thing that's never wavered is my passion, and that's something that I know is within him, and we haven't really had to talk about it. But to see his dedication, his work ethic, his talent, he's going to be a superstar in our sport, and glad that I answered the door that day and was able to fill his pillow sack with candy on Halloween, and been able to get to know him so much better, his family, and he's going to be a superstar.
You mentioned there's nothing harder than losing a child. I'm going to tell this whole story in a future convo, but my grandfather, in 1931, he was 40, he was done having kids, he had 3 kids, he was a very successful businessman. His youngest daughter died of appendicitis, or appendix burst, at age 11, and it was only after that they decided to have one more child, and it turned out to be my dad and his twin brother. And they named my dad after the daughter that passed. And so, this school wouldn't be here. I never would have been born. my grandfather, he just was torn. I mean, he started drinking after that. He was dead within 15 years of cirrhosis of the liver because he just couldn't take the pain. But it ended up having an ultimate good purpose, and it was. That's what I tell people that have been through that, is that you might not be able to see the purpose now, but at some point.
You can never give up. That's right. Never give up.
Profound. Thank you. That's really true. One last question before we go down there and race. Certainly great question from President Falwell on a mentor side of things, top down. What advice do you give a young, up-and-comer? But the other way around, the upside-down pyramid on that, what is one piece of advice that you would give some of your peers? I know you're juggling. You've got a 3.2 GPA this semester while you're also, needing to let your professor know you're going to be missing class because you're at Daytona, not the beach, but the race, So what advice would you give your peers on just juggling responsibilities, being teachable?
Yeah, it's a good question. I honestly see a lot of Liberty students around the track, whether it's online students or we're racing in Virginia this weekend actually, so I'm sure I'll see some students there. So it's just cool to hear their stories as well and hear how they're getting through school, and I try to learn from them too. So I feel like what I've learned is going to people like Jimmie or teammates that I have, or even people within the team that we have, and trying to lean on them to get advice. And you're never good enough to know everything, so you got to go to people and ask everything that they can give you. So I just try to seek advice from people that are around our company.
So that's really good. Thank you. I'm really excited about this race. We've got these 6 cars laid out, and we literally have just given you guys just a few minutes. We didn't let your handlers know this because we thought they might say no for you. But would you be okay with racing? Would you guys be all right with getting one of these?
We'd like to race, so yeah.
Let's do it.
These are the crazy carts. You've got one as a dad in your garage?
Yeah, I thought it was a good idea to put my 5-year-old in one, and Mom did not agree, so it sat quiet since.
These things don't have a brake. You spin out when you want to try to stop. So get your iPhones ready. We might kill a guest. All right, so it's going to be fun. I hope that's not prophetic. Are you guys good to race? You good to go?
Real quick, we've got a gift for Mr. Falwell from last year. Just I think it's going to be coming out here in a second.
That's right.
But it's a fire suit from last year. So
that's really amazing.
Appreciate everything that you guys do for us. And awesome. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'll wear that in a future combo.
That's fantastic. So, hey, I noticed Jim Hendricks here. Are you, Mr. Hendricks? You said when I asked you if you'd race 2 minutes before you walked up, you said, I usually pay guys to do that.
Yeah.
Are you going to race, sir? Because we have decals with your name on it.
No, I've got a family member here, Joe Hendrick. He's going to take my place.
There it is. His last name doesn't have an S. His last name has an S.
I'm sorry?
It's a little bit different than yours. It's Hendrick, but you don't have an S at the end of yours. He actually has an S.
Well, that's okay.
Is that all right?
If you go back far enough, we're all related, right?
Okay. So I've got here's a Sharpie if you want to put an S on the end of that one. All right, so here's the question. Would you rather have Joe, thank you for letting him sit in on your spot, but would you rather have Joe Hendrick and just because we're trying to talk Becky into this and she keeps going, maybe not. Would you rather have Becky race or would you rather have Joe? All right, if you'd rather have Joe race, make some noise. If you'd rather have Becky race, make some noise. All right. There is room for women in NASCAR.
Yes,
we've seen that recently. Awesome. You guys ready to see some races? All right. Let's get the twins up here. They'll give us the rules as we walk down.
When Becky drives, I'm always telling her to slow down, so she'll probably win. Go ahead.
All right, everybody, you guys ready for some racing or what? Sorry, I think my mic cut there. You ready for some racing or what?
We have a great day of racing today, the Liberty Convocation Motor Speedway, and what a field of drivers we feature here this morning.
Great drivers today. Not only do we have one of the best drivers in the history of NASCAR, Jimmie Johnson, we've got one of the best presidents of all of the universities in this country, Jerry Falwell, on the track today.
Don't forget, we got Coach Hugh Freeze out on the track too, man. And these drift tracks, or the drift cars, are insane. Like, spinning out like crazy, knocking over cones, knocking over people. It's going to be a wild ride for sure.
4 races. This first one is a pole position race. Explain that for the folks here at home.
That's right, guys. The first race today is going to determine the pole position of the first 2 races. That means that the first and second place winners of this race will have the inside lane, which is a significant advantage. Not only do you have a shorter track to run as that you're on the inside, but you're able to take those turns a little bit tighter.
So after the first race, we're going to move into a bracketed championship. So we're going to have 3 racers in the first race, 3 racers in the second race. The top 2 racers from each heat will move on to a 4-man final.
Hey, I think we've got a special guest joining our panelists today. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome Mr. Hendrick, legendary NASCAR champion.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you for joining us, sir.
Maybe I'll find a new driver here. What do you think?
You might just find somebody. The
We'll
future
see. Would you guys
William
like
Byron.
to see Becky driving NASCAR next year or what?
All right, looks like we're ready to go. This will set the stage for the next set of races. Are we ready?
We're gonna go on 3 tones here, drivers. As soon as you hear 3 tones, you're good to go. First and second place win pole position going into the bracket tournament. Starter, I'll leave it to you. Go, and they're off!
Here they go. Jimmie Johnson out to an early lead. No surprise there. It gets a little wide.
It's a lot of contact, start the race, crashing all over the place, lots going on.
Not sure where Becky's headed. Jerry out in front.
Becky has lost control. This is amazing.
Jerry leading the pack. Hugh Freeze taking out cones along the way.
Crashes left and right, lots of contact. Our leader, President Falwell, up to start.
We got 2 laps down and 3 to go.
5 laps total. Jerry out in front controlling the pace.
Gigantic crash between David Nasser and Becky Falwell as they make their lap.
Hugh Freeze closing in on Jerry. Can he get the inside track? Coach Freeze takes the lead. Coach cruising. Can he hold off Jerry down the stretch?
Jerry Falwell and Hugh Freeze have lapped the competition.
I'm pretty sure David's just out there spinning around. I think he's gotten lapped at this point.
Becky bails. She's done. She's out.
We are on
Coach Freeze.
Hugh Freeze in the lead. Last lap, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise!
Coach Freeze. Oh, Jerry, shortcut.
Taking a shortcut.
Coach Freeze claims the pole. Did not expect that.
Guys, let's get lined up for the final here. I know we had Coach Freeze take the top spot, so he'll be our #1 in the first heat.
That's right. So for our next race, it's going to be 3 people. Hugh Freeze will take pole position. We'll have Jimmie Johnson out, and we'll do Joe Hendrick for the race.
All right, so we'll get those guys situated. Again, Coach Hugh Freeze with pole position for race number 2.
Coach Hugh Freeze, Jimmie Johnson, and Joe Hendrick subbing in for Becky.
What'd you think, Mr. Hendrick? I know Coach Freeze is a good football coach. He might have a little driving in his future, too.
I think I could use the coach in his off season. How about that?
Off season, we might be able to hook him up. All right, so drivers are getting situated again. Now the top 2 advance to the final. The last place finisher here out.
Guys, it looks like we've had a little bit of a change for this first race. We've got Jerry Falwell up in the pole position.
I think we're supposed to have...
All right, we're getting this sorted out. 3 drivers talking amongst themselves. Top 2 advance. Last place is done.
Mr. Hendrick, I know you've seen a lot of races in your day. Tell me, was any of that anything that you'd like to see on one of your teams out on a typical race day?
That was a lot of pushing and shoving there. But I like the way Becky made the track shorter.
All right, we've got our racers up right now. We've got President Falwell in the pole position. We've got Coach Hugh Freeze in position number 2 and Johnson in number 3. I think the race is about to get started. I'll leave it up to the tone guys.
And they're off. President Falwell has a commanding lead coming out with that pole position.
Oh, look at Jimmie Johnson.
But Jimmie
the eye of the tiger. Bunched up, Jerry Jr. shoots to the front.
Significantly less contact in this race. President Falwell's taking it seriously. Really tight turns there on turn 3.
Coach Freeze, we saw him make a late move on the first race. Does he have it in him again?
Remember, top 2 move on. You just don't want to be last.
Cannot finish in 3rd.
We're on our last lap. Make
Final
some
lap.
noise. Who's going to get second place? Will it be
battle
Jimmie
for
Johnson
second.
or Coach Hugh Freeze?
Jimmie Johnson
takes it.
It was incredible.
Race finishes. President Falwell, Jimmie Johnson, and Coach Hugh Freeze rounding out the pack.
What a move. Mr. Hendrick, can you tell me about that last move there that Mr. Johnson made?
Well, I hope he does that Saturday night.
Taking a look at the replay now, you see Jimmie Johnson takes the inside track to take second place and move on to the qualifier. Up next, we've got David Nasser. Looks like Joe Hendrick.
And William Byron.
William Byron.
Now, Kyle, we had a chance to catch up with David just before we got started with Convocation today, and you got to talk to him about his expectations for the race. Can we see that clip?
Yeah, that's right. Let's take a look at that clip.
Okay, you got to talk loud, guys. Yeah. 3, 2.
So why number 7? Well, number 7, that's God's favorite number. Well,
Hey, David, listen, real quick. I wanted to get your odds on the race today. Are you going to win?
No.
David Nasser not too confident in this race. Let's see how he does. I think the race is about to get started here. Let's listen for that start tone.
Who will move on? Take it away.
And they're off.
Immediate contact from the campus pastor, David Nasser.
Pastor David out for blood. Spins out, he's in trouble. His day may be done.
We'll see if he can make that up. Joe Hendrick taking the route of the rabbit as he showboats.
William Byron about to lap him.
It's NASCAR at its finest. William Byron completes 2 laps before David
Nasser has caught. And an amazing move by David Nasser as he spins 360.
This is racing in its purest
David Nasser
form.
has caught up. William Byron in the lead on his last lap. Nasser and Hendrick have 2 laps left. William Byron wrecks Nasser on his way out.
Into the wall.
Nasser holds it down.
Final
Nasser
lap.
and Hendrick still have 1 lap left. Nasser in a commanding lead. Cruising into second place. Taking a tight turn. As long as he doesn't spin out, he'll be all right.
And he will move on.
Nasser takes second as he crosses
showing
the
off.
finish line.
Now he's just showing off.
All right, well, our 4-man final is set. We have William Byron and David Nasser coming out of this heat, and we have President Falwell and Jimmie Johnson out of the first.
Mr. Hendrick, do you have a favorite in this group? Who do you like here in the final?
I'm just going to stay neutral.
Stay neutral, that's probably why. That's a veteran.
There's a lot of talent there.
Guys, I had a chance to catch up with President Falwell between the race. We'll take a look and see what he's got in store. I know that I think he's got something special planned.
Well, it's a big race today. You're going to be facing one of the all-time greats in NASCAR. What's your expectation for the day? What's going to happen?
Well, I have to win because, like Ricky Bobby said in Talladega Nights, if you ain't first, you're last.
Ricky Bobby!
If you ain't first, he last.
Coming at him like a spider monkey.
High expectations for President Falwell during this race.
And the jacket has come off, by the way. You see, so it's getting serious.
You know he means business.
I think they're,
roll up the sleeves.
I think they're
get ready.
ganging up on Jerry here, right here.
We'll see. We'll see. There has been, I can tell you backstage, there was definitely some trash talk going on, and I heard a plan to conspire against Jerry. We'll see if it comes to fruition today.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our final race. Get on your feet and make some noise. The start is about to start. Let's go!
Jerry Jr. with a fast start.
I think you can do that in Mario Kart too if you press the button at the right time.
Time it right. Out to an early lead.
President
William Byron trying to take the quarter. Spins out.
The aggression there cost Byron huge.
I gotta tell you, at this point, I'm impressed with David Nasser. He's running a good race.
Jimmie Johnson trying to take the inside track. Jerry still out in front, hanging on for dear life down the stretch of this one. Jimmie Johnson again makes the move, can't close.
One lap to go.
Everybody make some noise.
Trying to hold off the pack. Can he seal the deal?
It's gonna be a photo finish.
Takes the lead. Jimmie Johnson spins out.
And he's done it.
Against all odds, Jerry Falwell takes home the W.
Who could have guessed? Shocker.
I think he's donuts in the infield.
What do you think about
Come on.
Hendrick?
I think he might have been a little bit quick on the start, but since he's
You
the
saw
boss,
that too.
he won.
Maybe just a little. What a finish. One of the great races, I think it's safe to say, ever held in the Vine Center.
That's right. I think Pastor David had some words for the crowd today. Let's go down to him and see what he's got to say.
Come on, put your hands together for our incredible guest, the one, the only Jimmie Johnson's in the house. William Byron, everybody, and then the winner of today. Come on, President Falwell, everybody.
Don't I get to kiss the girl with the trophy? Oh, okay.
I'm kind of glad I didn't win. All right, God bless you guys. Hey, tonight, 6:30, Campus Community. It's going to be amazing. Hey, can we thank all the people who spent hours and hours getting this track ready for us? Come on, put your hands together for them. God bless you guys. We love you. We'll see you tonight, 6:30.